Can someone truly be called the greatest of all time without ever winning a World Cup? Cristiano Ronaldo has achieved everything the game has to offer. 5 Ballon d'Ors, 5 Champions League titles, a European Championship, the Nations League, hundreds of goals, records that may never be broken. And yet, on the grandest stage of them all, he has never lifted the World Cup trophy. 5 tournaments, 5 attempts, and every time, the dream slipped away. Now, at 40 years old, Ronaldo prepares for what could be his final chance, his last dance. In this film, we'll uncover why one of the greatest players in football history has never managed to conquer the World Cup. We'll examine what was missing from his previous squads, and why 2026 might be his best and last real opportunity. Because this time, Portugal arrives with perhaps the strongest team in its history. Will the game's greatest goalscorer complete the one mission that has always eluded him? To understand why Ronaldo has fallen short on the world's biggest stage, we need to rewind, to trace each campaign, and the heartbreaks that shaped his journey. It began in 2006. At just 21 years old, Cristiano stepped onto the World Cup stage for the very first time. Portugal stormed through the group stage, then battled the Netherlands in a chaotic round of 16 clash remembered as one of the dirtiest matches in World Cup history. 4 red cards, 16 yellow cards, and a bruising fight for survival. Cristiano's first World Cup run in 2006 was full of promise and pain. After a brutal tackle from Khalid Boulahrouz left him limping off early against the Netherlands, Portugal still pushed forward. In the quarterfinals, they edged past England in a tense penalty shootout. But in the semifinals, their dream ended at the hands of France, undone by a single Zinedine Zidane penalty. A 3-1 loss to Germany in the third-place playoff sealed their fate. It was Portugal's best World Cup campaign since 1966, but still no trophy. For years later, in South Africa, the story was different, but the outcome felt all too familiar. Portugal's defense was rock solid, but their tactics were cautious, almost fearful. Goalless draws against the Ivory Coast and Brazil revealed a lack of attacking creativity. In the round of 16, they faced eventual champions Spain. David Villa struck the decisive blow, and Cristiano, isolated tactically and starved of service, barely had a chance to shine. Once again, Portugal's campaign ended in disappointment. Then came Brazil 2014. Disaster struck from the very first whistle. A humiliating 4-0 defeat to Germany shattered their goal difference, crippled their confidence, and left Ronaldo struggling through injuries. Pepe saw red, and Portugal never recovered. Cristiano did manage to score against Ghana in the final group match, but by then, it was far too late. The dream was over before it had even begun. In Russia 2018, we witnessed perhaps the greatest version of Cristiano Ronaldo at a World Cup. His unforgettable hat-trick against Spain in the opener remains one of the most iconic performances in tournament history. But after the group stage, the spark faded. In the round of 16, Uruguay's Edinson Cavani struck twice, knocking Portugal out. Once again, Cristiano's brilliance couldn't overcome his team's lack of collective solutions. Finally, Qatar, 2022. First, it seemed like fate might change. Ronaldo made history by becoming the first player ever to score in 5 different World Cups, striking against Ghana in the opening match. But then came the twist no one expected. Coach Fernando Santos benched him. His replacement, young Goncalo Ramos, exploded with a stunning hat-trick against Switzerland, and Portugal suddenly looked unstoppable. But in the quarterfinals came heartbreak once more. A shocking 1-0 defeat to Morocco ended the dream. As the final whistle blew, Cristiano walked off the pitch in tears, knowing another golden chance had slipped away. Perhaps in that moment, Cristiano believed it was the end. 5 World Cups, 5 different paths, and always an obstacle in the way. Injuries, red cards, rigid tactics, collective failures, or simply the misfortune of running into teams that were better prepared. The truth is simple. Cristiano Ronaldo never played a World Cup where his individual brilliance and Portugal's collective strength peaked at the same time. But make no mistake, Cristiano is no loser. He changed the history of Portuguese football forever. Back in 2004, as just a teenager, he was already one of the stars of Portugal's unforgettable European Championship campaign on home soil. He scored against Greece and the Netherlands, carrying his country all the way to the final. At only 19 years old, He shed his first great tears in the national shirt, tears of heartbreak. 12 years later, the story flipped. At Euro 2016, Cristiano returned as captain, the leader of a generation. He scored 3 goals along the way and guided Portugal to the final against host nation France. He left the field injured in the first half, but he never left the fight. From the touchline, he became a coach, a motivator, a warrior in a suit. And when Eder's thunderbolt struck in extra time, history was written. Portugal lifted its first ever major trophy. Cristiano Ronaldo had delivered redemption. 3 years later, he proved it again. At the 2019 Nations League, hosted in Portugal, Ronaldo scored a stunning hat-trick against Switzerland in the semi-final and carried his team into the final against the Netherlands. A 1-0 victory, another trophy, another legacy etched in stone. And even in 2025, as a veteran at 40 years old, he showed the world he still wasn't done. Facing Spain and teenage sensation Lamine Yamal in the Nations League final, Cristiano equalized in regular time, forcing penalties. Portugal held their nerve, and once again Ronaldo stood tall on the biggest stage. These triumphs proved one thing: Cristiano turned Portugal into a winning nation. He was the face of their golden era. With him came historic trophies, unforgettable finals, and a legacy no one can deny. But one frontier still stands: the World Cup. Could 2026 finally be different? In the past, Cristiano carried almost everything on his shoulders. But now, the scenario has completely changed. Since Roberto Martinez took over in 2023, Portugal has transformed into a true machine. Organized, intense, ruthless, Martinez built a clear identity: high-pressing, fluid structure, relentless collective discipline. Portugal stopped sitting back and waiting. Now they suffocate opponents from the first whistle. Every player knows when to close down. Every gap is filled in an instant. The 2025 Nations League final against Spain proved this transformation. Instead of retreating, Portugal pressed one of the world's best possession teams into submission. They forced mistakes, dictated tempo, and won by controlling the details. This is not the old Portugal, fragmented, relying only on moments of magic. This is a synchronized, modern powerhouse team where defense fuels the attack and midfielders turn intensity into domination. And for the first time in his career, Cristiano Ronaldo might not have to carry the weight alone. João Palhinha guarantees solidity in the center. João Neves and Vitinha bring mobility and precision, while Bernardo Silva and Bruno Fernandes act as the double brain, controlling tempo one moment and unlocking defenses the next. At the back, Ruben Dias is the rock, organizing, commanding, impenetrable. Beside him, Goncalo Inacio provides calm build-up, while Nuno Mendes dominates the left flank with explosive pace and technical finesse. In goal, Diogo Costa is more than a shot stopper. He is the first attacker, the initiator of Portugal's pressing game, and the last line of resistance when everything else fails. And then the attack, overflowing with variety. Rafael Leao's raw power and acceleration. Pedro Neto's relentless pace. Francisco Conceição's flair and dribbling. Goncalo Ramos, the striker who turns half-chances into goals. At the center of it all, Cristiano Ronaldo. At 40, he is no longer the tireless force who sprinted endlessly back in 2006. His role has evolved. He is now the finisher, the emotional leader, the man who can take a single chance and turn it into destiny. The crucial difference? For the first time, he is surrounded by a squad ready to share the burden of history. Roberto Martinez has achieved something Portugal never had in past World Cups. A team that doesn't depend solely on its brightest star. A synchronized collective where every player knows their role. And that completely changes the weight of destiny. But football has a way of writing cruel scripts, even for legends. Lionel Messi's journey at World Cups stands as both a warning and a beacon of hope. For over a decade, the greatest of them all was denied the one crown he craved. Year after year, disappointment piled up. Sometimes an early exit, sometimes a crushing defeat in the final, and sometimes the unbearable weight of carrying a nation alone. In 2006, a young Messi announced himself with a goal against Serbia and Montenegro. Yet in the quarterfinal against Germany, He remained on the bench as Argentina fell on penalties. The prodigy went home powerless. In 2010, under Diego Maradona, Messi arrived more mature. Argentina dazzled in the group stage, but in the quarterfinals, Germany destroyed them 4-0. Messi left without scoring a single goal. In 2014 came the closest moment. Messi led Argentina all the way to the final. For goals in the group stage, masterful performances against Switzerland and the Netherlands. But once again, Germany shattered the dream. Gonzalo Higuain missed golden chances, and Mario Götze struck in extra time. Messi left as the tournament's best player, but not its champion. By 2018, the outlook seemed darker than ever. Argentina's campaign unraveled into chaos, and Messi once again bore the unbearable weight of expectation. Argentina nearly crashed out in the group stage of 2018. Under immense pressure, Messi saved them with a decisive goal against Nigeria. But in the round of 16, Kylian Mbappe's France tore them apart, 4-3. Another early exit. Another chapter of heartbreak. By then, it was 4 World Cups without a title. 4 chapters of frustration. Until 2022. At 35 years old, when many believed his time had passed, Lionel Messi wrote the ending that once felt impossible. He led Argentina with 7 goals, shone in one of the greatest finals the sport has ever seen against France, and lifted the one trophy that had always escaped him. And here's the truth. Messi didn't win the World Cup because he was surrounded by superstars. He won it because Argentina was cohesive, disciplined, balanced. A team that allowed their leader to shine without carrying every burden alone. And this is where the parallel begins. For the first time in his career, Cristiano Ronaldo arrives at a World Cup with exactly that. A complete squad. Youth and experience. Individual brilliance and collective identity. A coach who gave them structure, intensity, and belief. Messi needed 5 World Cups to find redemption. Now Cristiano enters his 6th with the chance not just to repeat, but perhaps to surpass that story. If Portugal wins, Cristiano will become immortal in a way no number can measure. The boy who cried in 2004, the captain who reinvented himself in 2016, the veteran who endured until 2025. All of those versions converge in one last dance, chasing the most coveted trophy of them all. But if he fails, the wound will remain forever open. The trophy that slipped away. The one chapter missing from football's greatest tale. And for someone as competitive, as relentless, and as obsessed as Cristiano Ronaldo, that may be the only weight he can never outrun. And now, before the eyes of the world, only one question remains. A question that will echo until the final whistle of 2026. Has destiny saved its greatest chapter for Cristiano Ronaldo's last dance? Do you believe destiny has saved Cristiano's greatest chapter for 2026? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to follow this journey all the way to the World Cup, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this story is far from over.